back to the Interstellar channel. Today we're going to be doing a quick video about the 3 stages of money. If you're on your self-improvement journey, self-help journey, one key factor that most people miss out is financial. Maybe it's because they don't know enough about it, or they don't value it. For whatever reason, they tend to miss it out, and money is incredibly important. Anybody that says otherwise is kidding themselves. We're going to talk about the 3 stages of money, because before you can work out where you want to go, you need to kind of work out where you are. I've put a brief description, but we're going to go into a bit more depth on the screen on the topic. So if you guys want to take notes, I would say that is highly recommended. So with the 3 stages of money, the first stage is where you have the majority of the people and the least amount of money. People are working time for money. It's linear. So what that essentially means is if you're working a job, or if you're working on an hourly basis, because there's a limited number of hours that you can actually work because you need to rest and do other things, there's a cap on the amount of money that you can earn. The money progression is generally quite slow, and I've noticed from my experience from working retail jobs and other jobs that some of the people in here are generally unhappy. But I wrote potentially because you can't actually generalize every single person based on that. And one key thing that I did notice with a lot of the people, and this is just a commonality between maybe where I've worked and who I've seen, is that they've not got an emergency fund. A lot of their money is being used towards bills or certain things for life, and they aren't able to build up that little pot of money for a bit of fallback. Now, back in the day, when this concept was explained to me, it was explained in a very salesy way. I'm going to say to you now that you can make a lot of money in M1 if you go down the right career path. So coding or anything related to finance, sales. There are various career paths that can lead you to a huge amount of money, or significantly more than the average person is getting. So definitely don't rob yourself of an opportunity. You may have the skill set and the attitude to go and become very successful within a workplace. There's nothing wrong with that. Money is money at the end of the day. And some of the people that are shouting that it's about how you earn it, no one cares about earning $1,000 a month, because that's not going to pay your bills. It's not going to feed your kids. It's not going to do anything. So if you have an opportunity to make 50, 60, 70k, 80k a year, not a bad idea to go down that path. The second path is, at some point, people will start to realize, actually, maybe I need to do something else. So you've got 3% of the money and 3% of the population. It's kind of like a transition period, which is essentially maybe you'll have your main full-time employment, and then you'll have a secondary piece of income on top of that. When I put side hustle and I put consistent, because the reason why I did that is because I'm not talking about like a one-off, you sell some clothes on Vinted. I mean like something that you can do on a month-to-month basis that's generating you extra cash flow. Generally speaking, your second source of income, I put maybe exponential, but it should be, right? I know I said may, but it should be exponential. The reason why is, let's say you were working 2 full-time jobs, or a full-time job and a part-time job. There's only a short period of time that you can sustain that output for before it starts affecting the other things that are important in life, i.e. your health, your fitness, your sleep, your family, your loved ones, your love interest, all of that sort of stuff. There's a short period of time that you can do that. But I think the secondary source of money should really be exponential. Let me explain what I mean by exponential. Well, if linear is something that you invest your time into to make money, exponential would be something that you invest money into to make more money. By money for money, I mean maybe you're investing into something that you're reselling, or like with myself, for example, I'm a trader, or people that do crypto. Now, let me give you an example of like how these things are, let's say, exponential. let's say you start off with 1k, £1,000 or dollars, or wherever you're from, euros. So you had £1,000 and you bought 5 pairs of shoes for £500. Sorry, £200 each. Lost my math for a minute. And then you sold them on for £500 each. You've made £1,500 profit. Now the second time you have 2,005. You have in total you've got 2.5k in money. Now you can buy way more pairs of shoes. So before you could only buy 5, now you can buy 12 and have £100 left over. And then when you keep on doing that and keep on doing that, you will continuously make more money. With trading, if you're risking your money to make money, it's not a time game in terms of the outcome of the trade. So the reason why I think exponential is important is because you're getting rid of that time factor, and the possibilities are endless. But at the same time, again, when it was first explained to me, it was a very salesy way. I was like, oh, you should do trading. Well, that's not actually the case, because there are things that you're going to try that may not work. So there is a risk associated. You, like with the shoe example, you could buy 5 pairs of shoes and they might not resell, or they might resell for a little bit less, or they might resell for the same. So it might not exactly pan out the same way. But if you find something that you're consistent with, generally speaking, this is where most people will build up that emergency fund. That is very important, and on top of that, have investments as well. So yeah, and investments are important, because one day when they do pay off, the money comes in all at once, and when that happens, yeah, like it's a smart financial decision to be investing money that you're willing to risk within the market, in my opinion. Not financial advice. And the final zone is 96% of money and 1% of the population. In this point, money is completely exponential. People are, they're either owning equity in a business or they're an investor. And there are people that are, most of the people that are in this spot, they are born into this zone. They're born into this portion. And yes, money is not a problem. Well, although money might not be a problem, I want to point out a key factor, that there are a few things that you can't buy with money. You can't buy a fit body. You can't buy a house full of love or a calm mind. So just bear that in mind, that yes, let's say you are on the pursuit of money. Bear in mind, it will not fix every problem. It just might give you a few more resources to tackle your current problems with. So this zone here is almost like an end game. And I used to believe that a lot of people were here, but I realized that actually there's a lot of people who claim to be there, and not a lot of people that are there. That's just the way it is. Like, there's a lot of people that will literally say, oh yeah, like, we're here because we own a business. No, because for a lot of people, the business runs them. So they might own a business. They might own, like, let's say a food store, like a restaurant, like a Papa John's or a Domino's, but they're working every single day on that business. They're there, that it's consuming them. So really the business owns them, but that's not a bad thing. That just means that there's a, there's like a poor period of time before things become a little bit more exponential, and they start compounding. And that period of time is something that you can't cheat, unfortunately. So yeah. Now the questions to ask yourself is, obviously, first of all, where did you start? Where are you right now? For most people, like myself, I started at M1. And the second question is, where do you want to go? Now, say the second question, everyone's going to say M3, and I want you to try and work out how. And when I say how, I don't mean necessarily the I don't mean the how in terms of like, where, like how exactly you can do it, but in terms of your attitude. You need to have the attitude of trying out new things. It's just something that's got to be there. Like you must have the attitude of trying out new things and not being afraid to fail. And even if you do fail, you must have a positive attitude towards failure. Success is a fail away. That's a bar. You should write that down. Success is a fail away. So, with this, what I would personally say is, have that attitude of trying to do better, right? Trying to do more, and not really caring about how it goes. In the link, I'm going to drop a link to a Telegram channel. and that Telegram channel is my free trade room. We're calling out trades for free that you can copy, and they might not make you millions, but it's a place to start for you to learn about the markets and see what's going on and potentially profit a bit as well. Read through the guide. It's not financial advice. You're not guaranteed to make millions, but it might get you started on your journey towards a consistent side hustle. I've been the Interstellar, and I'll catch you next time. Like, comment, share, and subscribe.